To also give you some reference to what you have to do every day, because I feel like a lot of question marks arise for new content creators when they sit in front of their desk and they're like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not in an office. It's not a regular job. What am I even doing? Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Rooted in the Cosmos, your podcast for spiritual leadership, higher consciousness, and New Earth vision. My name is Isabel Gloria. I'm welcoming you to this brand new episode. As every Sunday, I upload a new episode. Every Sunday, you can listen on every known podcast platform. You can also listen on YouTube, and the cool part, you can also leave a comment on YouTube. So YouTube is the place where we can exchange, where we can have a little conversation below the episodes in the comment section. So if you want to share anything, or if you have anything to say or to share about the things I'm talking about today, I would be really happy to read your comment and to just interact on YouTube with you. That's a really cool thing that YouTube allows, to have comments for podcast episodes, because on other platforms that's not really possible. So that's a cool way to connect with my community. It's still pretty hot here in Germany, so I'm sitting next to my window and I have it open because otherwise I would melt away. So if any background noise is in this recording, I'm very sorry. I hope to be able to cut that all out, but if there is children playing in the background or anything like that, you know that's why. Otherwise, I would be melting recording this episode. Today, I really want to give you some tangible advice if you are an aspiring spiritual content creator or aspiring spiritual business owner, or if you're already creating content and already started your business, but are at the very beginning of this journey. If that applies to you, make sure to grab your journal and a pen, because today's episode will provide a lot of tangible tips and tricks around content creation, around structuring your content, and how you can create content more effortlessly and more easily without overworking yourself or without burning yourself out. The most obvious and most important thing that you need to know if you are an aspiring creator is that you can repurpose your content. What I see in my clients a lot is that they think they have to come up with something completely new for every piece of content they create on different platforms. And even though this is a very creative approach and it's beautiful that they want to put so much energy into it, it is not sustainable long term. If you go into this journey of having a spiritual business and being a spiritual content creator, you have to think long term. You're not just doing this for a couple of months until you run out of ideas. You're not just doing this for a year until you have no more things to talk about. You are constantly evolving with your business, so new things will pop up naturally. But at the same time, you also have to stay consistent in your topics and talk about them from different angles. The funny thing is that repurposing content is not just an opt-out for lazy people. It's actually helping your business, because the more people hear your message and hear your perspective on things from different angles, the more it lands with them. Some people need a very curated, beautiful, aesthetic piece of content, like you would post it on Instagram, to really resonate with your message and for them to resonate with your content. And other people like a really natural approach where you just openly speak into the camera and film a video that feels more like a FaceTime call that you would upload to TikTok, and then they resonate with it. It's a very individual thing how your content will land with other people. And the more you repeat yourself and the more you talk about your signature topics and the things you always talk about, the more people start to connect you with those topics. So repeating yourself or repurposing content is not bad in any way. It actually helps your business. It builds authority in your field of expertise, and it also makes you recognizable for your signature topics. So in the best case scenario, if someone hears about a certain topic that you usually talk about, they immediately think of you, or they want to learn about your perspective on this topic and they check out, what does she has to say about it? So that's actually something good. Something you even learn in marketing is that it takes approximately 7 times until a message that you send out through your content, through your marketing, lands with people. So people have to hear it over and over and over again until it finally sticks and it clicks for them. Repeating yourself is definitely not something you have to avoid at all cost. Just make sure that your content is still varied and still creative. Repurposing does not mean that you upload the same video on all platforms that you have. Repurposing does not mean that you use the exact same photo with the exact same caption and just post it a second time. That's not what repurposing is. Repurposing means that you use your raw content and your raw footage and turn that into different pieces of content. You may ask yourself now, what is raw content? What is raw footage? Raw footage is everything that you have filmed or photographed, and you just have that on your computer or on your hard drive, and you can grab from that source. So for example, you film a couple of videos and you have a couple of videos of yourself talking. You can draw from these videos and use clips from a bigger video to repurpose, or you can use B-roll content. B-roll content is aesthetic video content that you just film for the purpose of it looking aesthetic. So keep your eyes open in your everyday life and look out for aesthetic things in nature, aesthetic things in your home. You just doing something that can be used as B-roll, filming yourself and then just having that on your hard drive as B-roll raw material. Raw content would be something like captions. If you write a caption on Instagram, I highly recommend that you save it somewhere else in a document or in a folder or in Notion, somewhere where you find it easily. And at one point, you have a lot of raw content, meaning that you have a lot of captions that you've already posted, you have a lot of written newsletters that you've already sent out. And this then becomes your raw content for new content, because you can then go into your captions that you've already posted and just use the same topic and read that caption again and write it a little bit different or look at it from a different perspective and use what you've already posted as a caption as a guideline for this new caption. So I highly recommend keeping all of your content somewhere where you have it all in one place. If you post it on several platforms and just have it spread all over the internet, it's really hard for you to create this database of raw content that you can create new content from. When it comes to Reels, TikToks, short videos, and video content in general, you can use the same clips for a different purpose. So you can also repurpose the same clips. You should not upload the exact same video in the exact same context with the exact same caption again. But you could, for example, use the same clips for a different purpose in a different order for a completely new reel with the same footage, just different, and have a completely new reel. You really don't have to come up with new content all the time. You can repurpose that. The same applies for photo content. If you go out with a friend and take some nice photos, have a photo shoot, I bet you that you have at least 10 photos that you like at the end of the day. So when you posted the first photo from that photo shoot, don't forget about all the other photos that you also liked but are very similar. You wouldn't want to post them one after the other, but after a couple of weeks, you can repurpose from that shooting. You can still use the other photos. That is valuable content that you cannot leave untouched just because you have used one photo from that photo shooting and the other ones are pretty similar. You can still repurpose them. You can use them for graphics. You can use them for carousel posts where this photo is not the first photo, but it fits to the vibe of the overall carousel post. You can do so many things with these photos, and I really want to emphasize repurpose. That makes life so much easier. And if you're doing it in a clever way without people noticing too much, it is amazing. It spares you so much time, so much effort, so much mind capacity to just have content on hand. That is amazing. And also, nobody is looking that closely. Nobody is going to call you out and tell you, hey, you have posted a photo from this photo shoot that is very similar to this one 8 weeks ago. Nobody's going to do that. If you would post them all at once and one after the other, and your entire profile looks like this one photo shoot, that's a different story. But repurposing is a key element to creating content consistently. I also want to share some really good tips on how you can create a lot of content without too much effort. Creating content is always time consuming. I'm not gonna lie. If you want to have static content, if you want to have new content often, if you just want to be a good content creator, that is something you have to make time for. If you want to thrive on social media and if you want to have a spiritual business that really expresses your essence and your energy, the content is the medium to express that. So content is very important. It's nothing that you just do when you don't have anything else to do. It's something you should really put in your calendar and put on your schedule as work. And here comes the next mindset shift. I hear a lot of my clients say that they don't feel that they are working when they're creating content, when they're outside creating beautiful photos, beautiful reels, beautiful images, and it doesn't feel like work to them. And that is super interesting because that happens to almost everyone. They feel like they're not working unless they are sitting on a laptop in misery waiting for the time to pass by. I love to see that empowering shift in my clients when they start working with me, when they go from being uncomfortable for being paid and being compensated for what they love to actually loving this and to empowering themselves into this deserving mindset of I deserve to be compensated for what I love to do, for what I'm good at, for what I can give into the world. We are so freaking conditioned to think low of ourselves and to be humble and to sacrifice our lifetime for a job, for money, to be compensated for that. I've said that in many episodes already, I believe, but it's such a prominent topic that keeps coming up. So I really want to highlight that and make you aware that it is normal that this doesn't feel right in the beginning, because you are most likely programmed to believe that work is something that you most likely despise most of the time, and that it's not fun, that it's not creative, that it's not expressive, that it cannot feel nourishing and earthing and beautiful. And that is exactly how content creation should feel like. You should feel like you are expressing yourself, you are grounding yourself into your energy, into your message. And the more you do it, the more professional you become in creating content, the more effortless it also becomes. It's not unusual that you struggle a lot with it in the beginning and you don't know what type of content and how you can make it look like you want it to look like and where to go and where to find the locations and all that. I promise you, it will get better. It will become your new routine. You're just not used to this creative, expressive lifestyle yet. I promise that you will get some tangible tips for content creation. So that's exactly what I'm going to dive in now. Let's say you want to create a week worth of content and you have nothing prepared, you start from scratch. The first thing I would like you to think about is the topic that you want to talk about this week. You can decide this spontaneously. You can plan this weeks ahead. This totally depends on you and on how you work creatively. I like to do it pretty spontaneously and I just feel into, okay, what do I feel like talking about this week? You decide on one main topic and then you think of smaller subtopics that fit to that overall topic. Let's say we used past lives as our main topic for the week. A subtopic of that could be past life regression, your experience with it, or maybe you offer that. Let's say you offer that in this fictional example. That's one subtopic. Another subtopic could be what happens if we carry karmic events through our lifetimes, and you could talk about this. Another subtopic could be how to deal with negative timelines that come up in past life regression and how to integrate that and how to learn from them what we need to learn. Like, I could come up with so many subtopics, and maybe this doesn't make sense for you in this context because your content is really different. But for your content, for your topics, for your type of content that you want to put out there, think of a main topic for the week and then smaller subtopics that you can talk about and that you can create content around. If you want to have one piece of content that is a longer format, so a YouTube video or a podcast or a very long newsletter or something like that, I highly recommend to start with this piece of content. So let's say you want to film a YouTube video to upload it once a week. Start by writing the script for the video. And with script, I just mean bullet points. Don't write out the entire script. Just have a few notes that you can have in front of you while filming the video. So once you have this script written, you film the video and you will see that a lot of it comes naturally, like as you are in the flow and as you take a look at your notes. Every now and then you will get into flow and you will just talk about this topic freely. With this one YouTube video, you now have one big piece of content that already can be uploaded to YouTube. So you have one thing finished for the week. Now you could take snippets that are very powerful or things you've said in the video as a reel. You can just cut them out and repurpose them as reels throughout the week. So you don't have to film anything new. You can simply use the video you've already filmed for YouTube and also create several reels from this exact same video. You can also take just the audio. If you say something powerful, something that really has impact, or something that fits your overall topics for the week, you can use the audio and put it as a voiceover for a different reel. You could, for example, film yourself doing something random like meditating or saging the room or doing your natural skincare. It also depends what fits to the audio, but you can just film a static content and then place the audio or like a snippet of the audio from your video over that reel, and you have a entirely new piece of content. Once you have created your clips and smaller video content from your big video, you can use the notes that you have used for the video and turn that into a beautifully written newsletter. So you use the notes, you just fill in a few words, you make it sentences, and you make it a little more personal. You add a few things, and after like half an hour to an hour, you have a beautifully written newsletter. And it can be a little bit longer because newsletters tend to be longer and people tend to read them like little journal entries. So make sure to make that a longer piece of text. And from that text, you can then use the most powerful parts and turn them into several captions for the week. Just with the text from your newsletter, you can create at least 3 to 4 powerful captions that you can use under Reels, under TikToks, or for photo posts, and then you have new content again. But that is not enough. You can now use these captions that already include the most powerful information from your longer text and make it even more precise. So leave out all the fluff, leave out all the wordy things, and just turn them into informative graphics. It can be like a carousel post that people swipe through and just learn by reading what you have on screen. You can aesthetically design that on Canva. It's a really simple process, and it gives you so much content and so many different content pieces that are all around the same topic. So people will know, okay, she's talking about that and so on, but it will not feel like you're repeating yourself because every time it's packaged differently, every time you rewrite the text a little bit or it's a little bit different. It's in video format, it's in written format, it's in a photo post, whatever it is, you see that it's very different still. It's the same topic, it's the same essential message, but at the same time, it's all different content pieces. And that is how you repurpose content. Repurposing content does not mean that you post the exact same thing over and over again. I feel like that is what a lot of people associate with repurposing content, that you just are lazy and repeat yourself and throw out the same shit over and over again. But that, first of all, wouldn't land with people because it has no heart in it, it has no energy in it, and you're not putting any effort in it. But if you repurpose in the right way, you can create a week worth of content in a very short amount of time with way less energy than if you would create it all from scratch and come up with something completely new every day. That is just not sustainable. That works if you are in a position where you have like a very creative period in your life where you feel very creative and you want to put out so much because your channels are freaking open. That is the time where you can do that. But for a sustainable business that also has to run when you don't feel like being creative today, or when you don't feel like you're at your highest and at your best, it is really important to prepare content as something that you can come back to. That's why I also highly recommend collecting your content, written, photos, videos, everything, somewhere outside of the social media platforms so you have a source to draw from. And once you are in this game for a little bit, you will have a huge database of content, and it will grow because you're constantly creating new content, but it will grow so much over time. The last thing I want to share is that you can always, even if you are preparing content, if you are repurposing a lot, you can always sprinkle in stuff that is recent. So you have Instagram stories, you have stories on TikTok. On TikTok, it's a little bit different anyway. You can just post random stuff there and it's not that aesthetic. It's not that important that it looks aesthetic. So you can be a little bit more free on there. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to plan it all out and you are caged in with the content that you're planning to repurpose or that you want to stick to because of the topic you picked for the week. That's all just a guideline. You can always sprinkle in recent things. You can always take people with you through your day and through your practices and just share whatever wants to be shared through you in the moment. It's not like a schedule that you have to stick to. It's just meant to be a guideline for you to make things a little easier and a little flowier and to also give you some reference to what you have to do every day, because I feel like a lot of question marks arise for new content creators when they sit in front of their desk and they're like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not in an office. It's not a regular job. What am I even doing? And that gives you a little bit of guidance, like film that one piece of content that is larger, like a longer video or a longer podcast episode or something like that, and then start picking smaller content pieces from there, or get inspired by certain things you've said yourself in the video and write a caption from that. It can be so easy. You get into the flow once you start creating that one larger content piece, I promise. As always, I hope this was helpful for you and it activated something within you. I always want you to remember that you are capable of living this lifestyle that you so desperately desire and that you also deserve, and that you came here to live out. That's literally part of your purpose. If you are feeling called to do this work, to be a content creator, to be a creative channel for your messages, and it's so much deeper than just social media. Social media is our playground. It's our platform to express ourselves, and it's the medium that people meet on and that people hear your message on. But the roots are reaching so much deeper, and I constantly want to remind you of that. I want to empower you to start, not next year, not when you feel ready for it. Start now. Because if you don't start at one point, and if you don't go into self-leadership and tell yourself, I'm just going to do it now and see how good it can get and how much this will change my life, you will never start doing it. I'm wishing you a wonderful, wonderful week. And I would be happy if you tuned in next Sunday for a brand new episode. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful time.